Please.
Excellent. So basically, I'll be talking about, social media presence and how is it needed for an ophthalmologist or for all of us. And lots of it is based on my experience in the past 9 years as in private practice. The first thing is, why have an online presence? At the end of the day, we need to understand we are service providers on some level, even though and healthcare itself is a large service sector. We have an online marketplace for everything, and so therefore, even this conference is now online. Uh, there is going to be a time where the old school way of referral, where a doctor refers the patients to you or a general practitioner, may not happen, and in the near future, every patient is going to diagnose themselves, which they already are doing, and eventually look for a doctor and refer themselves online. So that is one reason why to have an online presence. Also, you need to let people know, have basic information about yourself, your practice setting, your specialty. Your colleagues and peers need to know. Also, social media can be useful if you can showcase what you're doing, if it's a new equipment, something unusual, and some achievements as well. So it's needed, an online presence is needed. And the first thing you should have is your own website if you're in private practice, or even being in a part of a group practice or a specialty, because your website is your information, your way, in your narrative, without any patient saying something, anybody else saying something. So there are no restrictions. You should remember that you should not get too technical on your website. It's mainly for patients and it's not for doctors. So put yourself in a patient's place and try to see how your website should come across. It should be user-friendly, accessible on a mobile. 75% of the people who access my website access it from the mobile. So it has to be customized and optimized for a mobile phone viewing. And having a website is not enough. You have to have ways that they can contact you either by email or to another social media link or Instagram or phone number, and respond to people getting to you. How do you go about it? The first thing is to register your domain. Your domain is what is xyz.com, whatever your name or your hospital name. Buy the domain, go to a hosting site which can host it. Hosting websites are places that will store your domain and your website, and people access that host to see your website. Then gradually you build content and site. For me, I bought my domain 10 years ago, but until 4 years ago, I didn't even start making on my website. And it was a mental block for me, or an inertia. And you need to overcome that, because eventually you will realize that current tools on website builders that allow you to build a website and different pages is almost like a PowerPoint presentation. You can copy paste things, write things, animate, put in a video like you're making a slide. And the website builders that these hosting sites offer are very user friendly and can translate into a good website. If you have the ways and means, by all means, get a web designer, and then someone who can also do a search engine optimization for you as well. The next thing is Facebook. It is a necessary evil in our lives. But a few things that you need to know is that the average age of the Facebook user is about 40 years in India. So, and also there is limited reach, because any Facebook page of yours or a post of yours can be seen only by your friends. And you need to change the visibility settings for it to be visible to public. And once you have a public profile, that is wading into dangerous territory, because then you're open to anybody and everybody, and also open to criticism, abuse, and a lot of other things. You can have a separate personal and professional page. And on your professional page, you can even pay for promotional content or pushed ads that get focused on people who are looking for keywords that match with your profile. Beware of what I call the academic feast, because after every conference, people will post on their Facebook, had a wonderful academic feast on this Saturday at this website. So at this conference. So try not to do a lot of self-promotion on Facebook. Caution, first thing is consent is king. No patient photographs or patient cases to be discussed on Facebook and social media without the patient's consent. Stay away from arguments. 3 things you should not be discussing on Facebook as a professional: politics, cricket, and Bollywood. And also there are Facebook guidelines. If you post a before and after or a cosmetic photo, their algorithm picks it up and says this is zooming into a very body specific part. It portrays certain before and after results. That doesn't work with us. So it's you have to play by the rules there. The next is Instagram. This is the most underrated marketing tool that ophthalmologists have. It's a photograph based app. All of us use Instagram. You can have multiple accounts on your same app in the phone. So one can be a personal, one can be a completely professional, and here they don't even need to be linked like Facebook. They can be completely different. The key is to use the right hashtags or the keywords. Now, say for example, look up LASIK. Half the photos have got nothing to do with LASIK, but yet they show up, and these are the top posts. These are the posts that people have looked up, liked, and interacted with, which automatically pushes them up in the algorithm when people search for it. You can be an influencer even on Instagram as a healthcare professional. Look at cataract surgery. Again, half of them are cataract related, half of them are not. So you need to use the right hash keywords. People search hashtags. People search for specific hashtags. People follow them. So when you post something related or connected to that, that comes up in the top of their feed through the Instagram algorithm. Unlike Facebook, the average age of the active Instagram user is 23. So you can customize content based on what app you're using. Say, for example, this is Dagny Zhu, who is a cataract surgeon based in California, cataract refractive surgeon. Look at her number of followers because she's creating interactive posts. People combine their personal interests as well as their professional interests and have a public account. This is again a cataract surgeon based in the US, but he's a fitness freak. So his profile is entirely about fitness. And again, 28,000 followers. So these makes them very popular. They are key opinion leaders and can change things and opinions and get a lot of patients through their profiles. If used well, patient generation can be very high, and it can even be better if you're able to merge platforms like Instagram connected to your Facebook account. The next is YouTube. Now, YouTube can be used for multiple things. It can be a surgical, and I think Pranesh has been the best example of that, of how he's harnessed the power of YouTube to create such amazing detailed examination videos aimed at residents, at teaching. And the key is high quality, relevant content, which has to be frequently posted. If you post one or two good videos and leave it, then that won't go up. YouTube search algorithm is very specific. The more views your videos get, the more automatically it gets pushed up when people search for similar keywords. You can have surgical videos like Dr. Pradeep Wanta, who look, you can see 16,000 subscribers. The YouTube videos, patients actually see them. They are seen as validation. It's the ultimate external audit. You're showing your videos to the whole world, so everybody knows what can be done. You can monetize it, but that's not something you should be looking for. Also, patients can come in. You can have a hospital tour in your YouTube website. It is a means to communicate directly to the patient, and patients are very tech savvy now. They're not afraid to see blood, so they actually see videos. Sometimes you have the obscure thing, like I got this a couple of days ago. I want a tentative cost of filler. I saw a number on YouTube. This is the cost of the filler box. How much would you charge if I bring my own filler? So you have some weird things. It's like telling, I'll bring my own Avastin. How much will you charge to inject? So, you have to take the good with the bad. My experience is that I wrestled with the idea of having my own website because I said, I'm a doctor. Like I said, there was so much inertia for a long time. I built my own website. I haven't paid for paid promotions yet. I have Instagram for a few years and YouTube for a few years. Facebook, I keep professional use to a minimum. I find Facebook very, very jarring. It doesn't keep me in a good mind space. So I keep Facebook out. Through my website, there is a very very optimized, phone version also of it, which has to be used well. And thankfully for me, Oculoplasty is a very visual brand. So before and after photos, especially of Indian patients, is a very good deal maker for patients who see similar conditions and know that they should get it. I have a contact me page through which I answer emails regularly. On an average, I get about 20 queries a week, which translates to 3 to 4 appointments a week, and eventually 3 to 4 surgeries a month, which surprisingly is very organic. So I don't have to go looking for this. These things are coming directly, so it's great. Similarly, with Instagram, you have to have a personal connect and respond to it. People try to get consults. You have to be a little patient and give it some time. Both of these are patients whose consents I have taken and posted this and actually got operated by me. But you have to, the flip side is you get a lot of frivolous inquiries. So you have to, patients who are not serious, but just will put in an inquiry. Again, this is translating to 4 to 5 procedures a month. And same is the case for YouTube. YouTube, I use it as an awareness channel. We post awareness videos, interviews or patient education videos. I have about 4,000 subscribers. It primarily started as a surgical video and a teaching tool, but now we've expanded that. This also generates a lot of patients on their own. It has the widest reach. So you have to, we take more time out for YouTube. So to summarize, you have to start early and you have to have a multi-pronged approach on social media, target all different social media channels, be consistent in content generation, keep it high quality. Remember, there's going to be an incubation period. You have a blog or a website or in social media, the first 6 months, you may not even hear anything from it, but be consistent with high quality content. It will give you good dividends. 3 things never discuss on social media. You never know who has what. PPP, pricing, giving out a prescription, and patient pictures, especially those of other patients. Never share on social media. Consent is king. Unless you have written consent from a patient about their, posting their content or photos, never do it. Paid promotion is a gray area, which, each one has to decide about their own ethics. And that is it from me. I'm sorry, I'm a minute over time.
Thank you so much, sir. You have given us a short masterclass on how to build a strong online presence or branding. So I have a question. So what is the cost to build a website? A minimum cost?
So minimum cost. So if you were to host your own website, but hosting fees are as low as 1,700 rupees a month, a year, or even if you, depending on the amount of storage that you need for your website, you can get that for even lesser for 5-year period. And once you have your domain, once you bought your domain, you need to keep renewing your hosting. Hosting is not that expensive. Recently, I renewed my hosting, but it was about 4,000 rupees for 3 years. And a good website designer can do a job, over about 20 pages in the website for about 20 to 25,000. So a total bunch of say 40, 45,000 can get you a good website designer who will create your pages and hosting for 3 to 5 years. And, at the end of the day, if a good website is generating even 2 or 3 cases, it's paying for itself.
Thank you, sir. So Devakant, sir, you have any comments?
So one thing, Dr. Akshay, I think another thing important is to get yourself listed on Google Business. So I think I am getting almost 2 to 3 pages for my Google listings. And if you frame that properly and your name comes up within the first top 3 or 4 people, so patients tend to prefer that. My question to you is, now the social media platforms, you see a lot of patients searching on social media platforms as well. So whether it is prudent to invest on a website or to invest on promotions if you have just one option, to invest on promotions on social media or to get a website for yourself?
I would definitely recommend a website, because you have absolute control over what content is being put there and what people can see, and they will see exactly what you want them to see. Facebook has a lot of personal interactions, your family photos, your vacation photos. Even if there's a professional page, you need to link it to a personal page. Then you need to keep that private and things like that. So I find that to be very cumbersome. So like I said, a website is yours with complete control and access over it. So